Hey everybody, Chris Serino here from the Sultana Education Foundation. Welcome to our virtual classroom. Today we're going to be showing you some really neat reproduction bow and arrows that emulate technology being used by the Native Americans that Captain John Smith and the first English settlers encountered in the early 1600s. You can see here on John Smith's map this really iconic image here of a Susquehannock Indian warrior. And he has a longbow that's taller than him. So we wondered, what would it be like if we could hire somebody that really knew what they were doing to emulate these tools? And that's what we're going to be showing you all today. Go ahead. All right, so I'm holding a really neat arrow assemblage here. And the arrowheads were fashioned out of local stones. This is a material called jasper. And pressure flaking to make these tiny little projectile points was really an art form. You can see how beautifully done that really is. And they were attached to the end of a long straight shaft. In this case, this is river cane. And they were attached to the end by a combination of sinew here, also glue that could be made by boiling pitch or boiling sap from a pine tree to make pitch, or sometimes hoof glue. And then going along to the end of the shaft, we've got the halves of 3 turkey feathers that are slightly twisted. And that's by design. So when this arrow flies, this spins the arrow and allows it to cut through the air. And then at the end is the nock where the bow string would fit on the end of this arrow. So a really beautiful piece of art, also a really effective tool for hunting small game.
I've got here today 2 examples of bows that were made for us fairly recently, but in the same style that Native Americans would have been using hundreds of years ago. What type of material would you use? It would depend on the trees growing in the forest where you live, but you'd be looking for hardwoods, so maybe hickory or ash or oak. And then how about your bowstring? You can't just go to the store and buy a string, so we have 2 different examples of materials used to make bowstrings. What you're looking at here are the raw hide of a deer kind of wound tightly together. So you're using every part of the animal, partly to make your bowstring. And then another example I have is sinew. You can see this is a little bit of a lighter color. So that's kind of the fibrous material that attaches muscle to bone. Both of these are going to have a lot of resistance to them, good durability, so that when you pull back on them, that has a good amount of force behind it, both of these bows. So the more force you have, the further it's going to let you fire your arrow. And the further that arrow can travel, that's going to give you a good chance of being a successful hunter because you can fire at your target from a pretty great distance.
All right, let's see how well you were paying attention. These feathers came from which type of bird? How was the arrowhead attached to the shaft? Name a type of hardwood used to make bows. Thanks for watching this edition of Sultana Virtual Classroom. If you want to see more of our videos, check out our YouTube page or sultanaeducation.org.